Indeed, long live the Republic of Sierra Leone, and those were the last words of President Julius Maada Bio during the speech which he delivered a day before the Eid celebration. A lot of issues, a lot of, there are a number of key pointers in that information, but nonetheless, in the studios, we've just been joined by a representative from the Strategic Communications Unit and a person of Imran Sillah, who is here to talk on the address itself and many other issues in the studios this morning. Good morning, Imran. It's a pleasure having you as always.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Imran, of course, you've listened to the speech, and I know you might have had a copy of the speech. But what would you say are the key take-homes in this speech that was delivered by the president?
Thank you again. It is fair to point out that the president has been very consistent. He has always talked about peace. He has always talked about unity. He has always encouraged us to be peaceful as citizens of the Republic. He continues to talk about his aspirations and plans, right, for the country, for the people of this country. But more so, at this material point in time, he talked about the work that has been done so far by the Tripartite committee. The bulk of the work, he stated, is completed, and he's looking forward to the reports which will be sent to him. And he continues to indicate that he's forever committed to the outcome and the recommendations to fully implement. It's about electoral systems, structures, and processes, and whatever it takes to make sure that we continue to enhance, deepen, and strengthen our democracy. He wouldn't hesitate to do so. And I think those are encouraging words from His Excellency the President. He continues to lead by example. He continues to show his leadership. He continues to caution those who think they can resort to mischievous means as a way to express themselves or to disrupt the peace and stability of this country. For them, they have no place in this society, and the law would definitely frown on them. But by and large, I think His Excellency the President understands that we are a largely peaceful society, peaceful people, and he continues to encourage us to do so and to live by the laws of Sierra Leone and go about our normal business, essentially.
But our integral it is at this moment, just as said by the president, to embrace tolerance, respect, and solidarity in the country.
Well, look, there is no way we can move forward as a society without respect, without tolerance, without understanding that despite our differences, in our political views, we should all be committed to one Mama Salon, ultimately. And to that end, I think we feel encouraged as a government by the joint press release that was put out by both the SLPP and the APC condemning hate speech and violence and all the rest of it. It shows true to form. We have been doing the best we can as political parties, speaking to our better angels, if you like, so that the society, our communities, the public at large would understand that we owe it, right, to ourselves, in as much as we owe it to the next generation, to have a society that is peaceful, that for which there is unity, and for which we should be seen working together despite our political differences. And he did say something in his speech, His Excellency the President, that you can have, I'm paraphrasing him now, you can have your differences, but it should not be one of bitterness. You can't be bitter because someone else has an opposing views or somehow belongs to another political party. No. That's his decision. That is what democracy is meant to be. We can all not be APC. We can all not be SLPP. We can all not be C4C. We can all not be NGC. Whatever those differences are, we should understand that, what do they say? They say politics ends at the water's edge. Right? there has got to come a point where we forget about politics. I mean, that is behind us now. 2023, June 24, those elections are over. The next elections are on the 2028. And now it's about development. It's about moving forward. It's about bringing ourselves together. It's about working together, despite our political views, in making sure that we'll achieve the things we've set out to achieve as a government, as a people, as a nation, as a country. And ultimately, we see His Excellency the President taking the lead in making sure that we understand what we should be talking about at this material point in time.
Imran, on the 14th, we saw a release of the main opposition, APC, saying they're backing out of the Tripartite Committee. They're no longer participating for what they allege seems to be lack of transparency. That's the 14th on Friday. On Saturday, 15th, we get an address by the President to the nation. 2 days from now, Wednesday, 19th, we're expecting to get the report, official report from the Tripartite Committee. That's also clouded with the alleged rumors of a protest. Quite confusing for some Sierra Leoneans who don't fully understand the politics of what's going on. What is really going on?
So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily conclude by saying the politics of what is going on. I think it's how people have chosen to turn it into politics, right, for the wrong reasons, obviously. Looking to get as much political mileage as they're trying to get. I say so because you brought a few scenarios together.
That are all connected.
Well, yes, in a sense, or people are looking to find those connections, I would say.
Well, they all have one factor in common, the Tripartite Committee.
Well, yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I agree with that point. So we know that the report is going to be out at some point this week. We know we have seen a press release from the APC saying that they have issues. I mean, I'm yet to validate or authenticate that press release that I did see on social media. I haven't spoken to anybody from the opposition party to find out whether it was authored by them. But then let us assume, for the purpose of this conversation, that indeed it was authored by them. And the President is now saying that the bulk of the work has been completed anyway. If the bulk of the work has been completed, it means APC, who are part of the Tripartite Committee, it's a three-way leadership, APC, government, and the international community, they have come thus far with the bulk of the work. It feels to me that they're simply doing, crossing their T's and dotting their I's, essentially, right, to be able to put together a report for onward transmission to His Excellency the President. And so, to that end, I think we have to commend them. We have to say thank you for their commitment and determination over this period. APC, government, and the international community, for having stayed the cause. I mean, whatever those probably differences are, I'm sure they existed at some point in the start, right? And I'm sure those differences would not go away. But then ultimately they have found reason, right, for a purpose bigger than themselves, I suspect, right? Bigger than the political parties they belong to, bigger than any of their individual views and probably sentiments, to understand that this is about the nation, it's about Sierra Leone, and that is why they have worked together for this long. And so I suspect that they would see reason and find reason, right, particularly at this 11th hour, to be able to put together a report and hand it over to His Excellency the President. His Excellency the President has indicated that he's committed to follow through on those recommendations once that report gets to him. But then, I mean, I also understand, and this is, I mean, this is something I have talked about, and those of us from the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, we have talked about it for a long time. Somehow, we are of the view that some have mischaracterized the purpose of this entire exercise. I mean, the work that is being done by the Tripartite Committee. They have sort of left a lacuna, an opening, if you like, that somehow this committee was going to run to conclusions that would suggest that there was going to be a rerun of an election. That was never the case. I mean, go back to the terms of reference. I have gone through it several times, and I continue to go through it, because for every time I hear a conversation which sort of suggests that, well, we're not going to talk about what those conclusions are going to look like because we don't know. It is possible that they could talk about an election rerun. Well, no, it's not part of the terms of reference. It talked about electoral system structures and processes. How do we enhance and make it better? The Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone remains the ground. I mean, you should know this, right? It remains the ground. That the next elections are in 2028, 5 years on. When you get the next elections in 2028, the next election is 5 years after 2028. And you know, the work of the Tripartite Committee cannot go against the Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone, right? And that is clearly stated in the terms of reference. And so for those who think that because there has been this mischaracterization as to what the work of the Tripartite Committee was going to look like, have now found reason to give legs, right, and wings to falsities on social media, peddling those false rumors, suggesting that somehow they're going to come out and be mischievous and cause chaos and wreak havoc. Sierra Leoneans are largely peaceful. We have seen this time and time again, right? And we know that whatever people are suggesting on social media, the security sector, right, is up to their job, is up to the task. And we continue to urge the vast majority of us to remain peaceful and calm.
Not too long ago, well-meaning Sierra Leoneans were very, maybe for lack of a better word, grateful to the APC and the SLPP that both of you could come together and sign an agreement against hate speech. But that is not too long ago, and now we see what's going on. Where does this leave the agreement between the APC and the SLPP in the fight against hate speech, particularly when the events from Friday, Saturday to now are leading some other folks who are both some APC, some SLPP, to sort of skew the narrative on social media?
Well, I mean, look, I think the leadership of both the SLPP and the APC understand the need to condemn hate speech, and that was why they put out a joint press release. And we have to follow the leadership in this moment, right, on these issues, because we take their cue from them, and it gives us a sense as to how those political parties are thinking at any material point in time. We have seen enough and have enough reason to believe.
But what is the civic education arm of the ministry doing to evoke the agreement signed by both APC and SLPP? Because when you follow on social media, hold on, the agreement APC and SLPP signed against hate speech. When you follow on social media since Friday, you have some of the APC supporters making very crazy remarks on social media. You have some of the SLPP supporters making very crazy remarks on social media, which some of them does not support peace and national cohesion and goes contrary to the agreement of hate speech. So what is the Civic Education Ministry doing to evoke that agreement signed by both the APC and the SLPP against hate speech?
So I'm glad you say some. Thankfully, it's not all.
Yeah, it's some.
Right? Some. So
it would be a fallacy to say all.
But again, it points to a broader picture and exactly what our thinking is, even at the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, which is obviously sort of like the foot soldier for government, right, in terms of what the views are. We feel that hate speech has no place in society. We have been advocating that. We continue to do so, and we have been doing it for the longest time. We continue to encourage people from whatever background, from whatever political divide, to continue to be peaceful and calm and law-abiding. Social media is obviously awash, right? Sometimes with falsities, misinformation, disinformation, and all the rest. We have also been occupying that space. I mean, if you go to Facebook, all our accounts on social media, you continue to see factual, honest, truthful, and accurate information being sent out for public consumption at each and every given point in time. And I'm sure if you go to our page, the joint press release should be there, right? I mean, showing that both the APC and the SLPP have condemned hate speech. And I think...
is the ministry considering one of its maybe most recent episodes of the press briefing to bring the APC and the SLPP leadership to talk to the citizens?
I mean, absolutely. But then it doesn't necessarily have to be on a Tuesday press conference. I mean, there are several other means by which we could put forward
Why is
exactly.
it not necessary?
Say again?
Why is it not necessary on a
No, I'm
Tuesday
not
press
saying it's not necessary. I mean, it shows the luxury that we have at the ministry, that we do not only have to rely on a press conference happening on a Tuesday to be able to put out information as it relates to government or that which we feel should be of public concern. There are several other means. We can even call a special press conference, which we have done in the past, right? And so I'm saying we make our decisions based on what we feel there's a need
Do you not
to
feel
put out.
a need for that right now?
So this press conference on Tuesday, I think Minister Austin Dembi will be there, and others as well. This is obviously equally very important, and so if you go now to our Twitter, Facebook account, and I mean other platforms that we use, you would see a deliberate push by the Ministry of Information and Civic Education in informing the public and putting out, because you don't, so because of the urgency of what you're talking about, we don't have to wait again for a Tuesday at a press conference to talk about it. We have the luxury of talking about it even before, I mean, a Tuesday, which I think, I mean, shows the timely response and the timely manner in which information is put out for the public. And I think that is what we'll continue to do.
Imran, the statements of the speech made by the president, came in a few days after the, let's say, it's authentic press release from the APC party in regards to what they've turned out to be a tripartite committee. But again, would that have been a trigger for the speech by the president?
Well, look, His Excellency the President found it necessary to address the public, I mean, for several reasons. A day before Eid, I mean, as a Muslim, I felt satisfied to hear from my President and Commander-in-Chief celebrating a moment for us Muslims, even though he's a Christian and a Catholic, devout Catholic, I have to add. We know that there are false rumors about potential demonstration or wreaking havoc on a particular day. So it felt reassuring for me to listen to my President, reassuring me and every single Sierra Leonean that we are a peaceful society. Let us continue to keep the peace. Let us continue to work together. But then he also found time to talk about the Tripartite Committee and update us as to how much work had been done up until that point, that the bulk of the work has been done. So he was simply waiting for the report to be sent to him. He has also, in his speech, indicated that he's committed to following through on those recommendations, which I think I feel satisfied with, right? Because you also want to know at this point in time, if those recommendations come forward and that report has been put to him, what would happen, right? Because that is also part of the unease we sense around, right? And therefore, His Excellency the President has laid that to us. Say, no, there's nothing to worry about. I am forever committed to what those recommendations are going to look like. We'll follow through on them. Right? It was for that reason that he indicated at the very start when he was addressing Parliament that he was going to do an electoral systems review. And he waited for some time to get the opposition party on board, get the international community on board. It's a three-way leadership for them to do the work. The bulk of the work has been done. I know that for a fact because I have friends who belong to, the APC, but then also who work in government, who are part of the Tripartite Committee, and I've had the opportunity several times to talk to them. I know how much effort they have put into the exercise. So whatever I see on social media coming from the APC, look, it shouldn't take away from them, right, their commitment to this process, because they have been in it from the start up until now. whatever those issues are, assuming they exist, I'm sure those are issues that can be sorted out, right, at that level to be able to come out with a report.
Imran, you will agree with me that the big political parties in Sierra Leone, the SLPP and the APC, you will agree with me that they've been largely responsible for the looming tensions around the Tripartite Committee. They've raised unnecessary tensions, I'll say, on the Tripartite Committee, leaving behind most of the other issues that were highlighted in the agreement on national unity.
So, look, those and look, we have to go easy on political parties, and I mean, I say so sincerely, because it was never meant to be a bed of roses. People have their views and opinions going into that committee, but then also understanding that they have got to do a job for Sierra Leone. How do you find the balance between what your political views are and what the party wants you to do and what you need to do for Mama Salone, right? To get a report together, right, and get those recommendations to get to His Excellency the President. So I mean, you have to understand that the process was not going to be without tensions. It was not going to be without disagreements and misunderstandings. But then, again, as in testament to them, in showing their commitment, they have stayed through it all. They have had those conversations, difficult conversations it may have been at some point at certain times, right? But they have had those conversations. They have found a way forward. They have been able to reach to conclusions and all the rest of it. And so, look, I look at the positives. I say what doesn't kill you or something, not the what they call.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Exactly. So I think that has been the mindset, and they have been able to get to this point. Let us look forward to the report and make sure that those recommendations have been implemented.
What's very clear again is the fact that the public has been kept in dark for quite a while in regards to the Tripartite Committee, and that might have resulted in what's the current situation that we are in at the moment. We are in, everybody will just be misinforming themselves, disinforming, sharing out informations that are not valid, that are not factual.
I mean, yes. And that's a sense I have from talking to people ordinarily, that they feel the committee, and I don't feel it should be taken as a criticism necessarily, but in hindsight, I mean, could they have done things, I mean, when it comes to communication and getting the public up to speed with the work that they were doing, in hindsight, could they have done it differently? I'm sure there's always an opportunity. So yes, I mean, I understand that it feels so, at least in terms of public perception, that the public doesn't feel necessarily part of this exercise up until this point, and so that in itself has created the sort of atmosphere for people to want to believe anything they get from whatever source, and that's a valid point. But hopefully, that will come to an end in the next few days when we shall get the report, and then it becomes public knowledge. People will understand exactly what those recommendations are. We would all come back. I'm sure every political party and those of us in government who have those responsibilities to come and explain to people what is in the report and what the recommendations are. His Excellency the President, I'm sure, would communicate accordingly by whatever means to the public to let us know that he remains committed to following through on those recommendations.
There are messages on our Facebook page. Joe B. Bangali Jr. is saying, "Oh, Salon, we don't forget about TRC recommendations. Now, the tripartite recommendations with a pan struggle pan."
This one is from Usman Prince Suleiman Kaboni. Says aggregated data and disaggregated data are the data used in elections to determine whether the election was reached or not.
Usman Prince Sulaiman Kavoni says we are not honest with our people.
Abubakar Rashid says ECSL cannot give what they don't have. So the area. So this one is not clear. Of course, he was talking about quagmire. So what are we expecting from the tripartite findings?
We'll just leave the messages to that because we've got a few minutes to round off.
Sure.
So I'll start with the last texter. I mean, what are we expecting from the findings? I mean, I know whatever those recommendations are going to be, they are not going to include the rerun of any elections that was held last year. I mean, that's a given. And so when they put forward their recommendations with the public, would have an opportunity to read the report. I mean, it's going to be for public consumption anyway, and find the recommendations contained in that report. The first message that you read, I mean, I don't think Sierra Leoneans have forgotten about the TRC report. Let us also not forget that in as much as we are talking about a report that is going to be put forward by the Tripartite Committee, there's also the constitutional review process that is ongoing, and that has its own considerations. Yeah, I mean, a lot of work has been done in the past by the late Edmund Cowan and the previous administration. They put together a massive team to go through the Constitution of 1991 as amended. We have picked it up. We have passed, I mean, a few legislations that was meant to deal with some of the issues of the 1991 Constitution, namely criminal libel, death penalty, gender empowerment law, and all the rest of it. And we did say at the time that fundamentally, and you should know this, that those that are considered to be entrenched in the 1991 Constitution have to go through a different process. And so for the low-hanging fruit, we were able to deal with before the elections last year. But then for others, it would require a referendum where people would have to vote to be able to adopt certain aspects of a new constitution. And that process we know is ongoing. It's not wholesome changes to what has been done in the past. In fact, it is picking up from the work that Edmund Cowan and others did. That is what we're following through on, making sure that it is going to be a constitution fit for a 21st century Sierra Leone. So no, I don't think we have forgotten about the TRC report and some of the recommendations contained. But at this material point in time, what is expected in the next few days is the tripartite report, and I think it is fair and right that we talk about it and look forward to the report, in as much as we hope that the work of the constitutional review would make progress to a point where they would reach their own conclusions at some point in time. Let me end by saying thank you again for the opportunity. I would like to urge Sierra Leoneans to remain calm and peaceful, forget about what is being talked about or bandied about on social media as it relates to the 19th and what certain mischievous elements intend to do. We know that the security sector is on top of their game. They have been very active out and about, making sure that the vast majority of us are peaceful and would be able to go about our business on Wednesday and any other day. And therefore, we know that because of that, they have done their deployments in Western Urban, but then also in Western Rural, so that they're able to deal with situations as and when they arise. But look, largely, we have a responsibility to say no to our detractors, because these are detractors of the state. They are not detractors of government. You deserve to go about your business on any given day. Same way so. I mean, it's the same for me. I have indicated publicly that my daughters will be going to school on Wednesday. Right? There's no excuse. Right? They have to go to school on Wednesday. And that is an act of defiance to those who feel that they can cause instability and chaos and cause us to panic. It's not going to happen to me. I hope that every one of us can adopt that same posture on Wednesday and say no to them, because we all deserve, despite whatever those views are, despite our concerns, despite those whatever issues we feel strongly about, we all deserve to go about our normal lives in a way we have been doing for the longest time. And so let us stay peaceful, let us stay calm. His Excellency the President will continue to provide the leadership, right? We need to come together, we need to stay united, and I would urge all sides, every political party, let us do our utmost in ensuring that Sierra Leone remains a peaceful, right, and stable society.
Thank you so very much, Imran Sillah. He's coming from the Strategic Communications Unit at the Ministry of Information. It's been a pleasure talking to you in the studios this morning.